Hello and welcome to today's AAHAM webinar, Leading Remote Teams. I'd now like to introduce our speaker for today. For the past 18 years, Skot Waldron has worked for clients such as JP Chase, the CDC, Georgia Tech, Royal Caribbean, Sesame Workshop, the Home Depot, and the Coca-Cola Company. Has included national and international employer brand development as well as company culture programs. His focus is on helping people and businesses learn how to communicate more effectively. Skot believes you have to be healthy on the inside in order to be truly healthy on the outside. In addition to running his own agency, Skot has been teaching brand development at the Miami Ad School in Atlanta. He has also traveled to different cities in the U.S. to conduct communication training and speaks about how the idea of branding pertains to us as individuals, teams, families, and businesses. Skot, if you're ready, the floor is all yours.
Thanks a lot, Trevor. I am really excited to be here with everybody. It seems like we have a good audience with us, and this is a very, very relevant topic. And if I could get an amen, I'm sure I would from everybody out there right now. There is a lot going on with remote working. This isn't a new concept, right? Remote working has been around for a very long time, but the COVID thing has really brought it to the forefront. We were forced to go remote. A lot of us that maybe had never done remote before, or that maybe have a little bit remote, but this was a new experience for a lot of organizations. And for some, it's been difficult to transition. For some, it's been super easy because they've done it for a long time. So we're going to walk through 4 principles that are going to help you lead your remote team. And these are actually 4 principles that will help you lead any team, but we're going to dedicate this topic to remote team working. So Trevor read a little bit of my bio and who I've worked with in the past. These are some of the clients that I'm working with currently or have worked with in the past in regards to what I call internal communications, brand development, and positioning in the marketplace to help us have a healthy company inside so we can be healthy in our external communication. If any of you want to get in touch with me, want to find out more about me in any way, you can visit my website at skotwaldron.com. That's SKOTWALDRON.com. You can find me on Instagram, and LinkedIn is where I push a lot of educational content. I connect with a lot of people on LinkedIn. Would love to find you there. The first thing I want to talk about is this word. I'm a brand guy. I come from a graphic design background. I've been doing external brand communications for companies for a long time. And my shift a little bit more to the internal side in the past few years has caused people to say, well, why are you talking about brand when we're talking about company culture and internal communications? And I said, because this is what brand is. It's what people say about you when you're not around. So I don't care if you're talking about clients and customers, or I don't care if you're talking about employees, staff, a boss, an organization. You're a brand. You have an internal brand, you have an external brand, and those things shape what people say about you when you're not around. What I want you to think about going forward is having a brand first mentality. And what does that mean? It means, how will this next thing I do affect my overall brand image? How will this next email, this next meeting, this next lunch, this next handshake, if we do handshakes ever again, how will this next whatever affect my overall brand image? It's either going to go up or it's going to go down based on my interactions with that individual. So on the internal side, we say, what do my employees or my team or they say about me or the company when we're not around? Are they leaving their jobs at night, or are they walking out of their home office into the kitchen and just totally defeated? Or are they saying things that aren't great about their team, about their company, about their boss, in a way that's causing the brand impression, right, the reputation of that company to be damaged? You're not going to recruit many people that way. And you're not going to create loyal employees that way. On the external side, we say, what do my clients and my customers say about me or the company when we're not around? Your external reputation is going to be affected by the way your employees, your staff, the way you interact with those clients and customers. There have been studies and a lot of data out there that shows that internal health, employee satisfaction, employee engagement goes up client satisfaction, customer engagement goes up as well. There's a very, very tied together data that shows that. This happened, right? COVID happened back in the spring. This has also happened, right? The Black Lives Matter movement has brought a lot of attention to companies and organizations and people within these organizations and companies. So we got COVID, we got the racial injustice movement, all being brought up during this time. That is, okay, so what does this have to do with remote working? What it has to do with remote working is that it has everything to do with culture. It has everything to do with the way you communicate within your organization and outside your organization. Are you being called out by people inside your organization for not being authentic? Right? You come out and you say, hey, we've got these values, we're inclusive, or hey, we treat people well working from home now that COVID's around. And on the back end, those people are leaving their jobs or going out and talking at a weekend party about how my company's a bunch of hypocrites, or how they're not really saying what they're not walking the talk. It's all about authenticity, and it's about being true to who we are as a company on the inside. That's what I care about. The intersection of internal and external brand. On one side, we got company culture, employee engagement. On the other side, we got customer messaging and customer experience. And those things coming together are our brand. And we see the reflection of that brand on review sites like Glassdoor for employee engagement and the way people talk about our company from the internal side. We also see Google reviews, and we see Yelp reviews on the external side. How many of you in the past, I'm going to say 7 days, have visited some kind of review site or looked at reviews to gauge if you were going to purchase or visit a restaurant or whatever? A lot of us, we depend on those reviews, and that's a reflection of our brand to the outside world. Maya Angelou said this. She said, people may not remember exactly what you did or what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. That is important. You're going to remember that feeling you had. You may not remember what they did, what they said, but you're always going to have that feeling. So as we get into this, I'm going to shift. I always lay that out first, because your brand, your reputation is everything. We're going to transition now more specifically over into remote working. What I want to do is I'm going to throw this poll up on your screen, and I would like to see how much experience we have with us today, as far as people having experience with remote working. Most of your people are remote. You've never worked remote before, or maybe you're only remote. Maybe you do not do anything but remote working. I know with this audience, that's probably going to be on the low side. So I just want to give you a few extra seconds here to keep throwing in your data. Okay, great. So I'm going to publish these results so everybody else can see them as well. So it looks like some of our people are remote. Then most of our people are remote. We've never worked remote until recently, are kind of half and half. And then again, the prediction was correct. We only work remote, it's a very small percentage. So good. So everybody here, I would hope, is attending this webinar because they want to figure out how to lead their remote teams more effectively. So good. Let's proceed here. Only 19% of on-site workers say they do not want to work remotely at any frequency. So only 19% say they do not want to work remotely. Most people want some kind of remote work capability or capacity within their jobs. 30% of remote workers accomplish more in less time. Now, I know that a lot of people also say, that depends on if we're doing digital learning with our kids at home, right? So I get that. But all in all, remote working increases productivity, allows people to get more done in less time. Remote workers are 29% happier in their jobs than on-site workers. 51% admitted that they spend more time with their significant others, and 48% reported getting more sleep. Yeah, so we cut out a lot of that commute time. We cut out a lot of that kind of those meetings that didn't have to happen, a lot of the whatever's going on in the office, and we really get down to getting the things done that we need to get done in the workplace. I'm going to address these 4 struggles that we have with remote working. Number 1 is feeling limited. Number 2, you can't lead everyone the same. Number 3 is choosing the right medium for communication, the right tool to communicate effectively. Number 4 is learning to manage your time effectively when you're working remote. So this is another poll I'm going to send out to you. I want to see where you are as far as these are concerned. What is your biggest struggle with remote working right now? Is it feeling limited in your ability to communicate, get things done, be productive? Is it understanding different personalities and how they want to be led? Is it choosing the right communication channel for the right types of communication? Or is it learning to manage your time wisely while working from home? I know there's a lot of distractions at home. Some people that really is really tough depending on what they're doing. Some people it's not a problem at all. But there is a lot of, these are the 4 things that I've heard most commonly with organizations as far as their struggles with remote working. This is fascinating. So I'm going to go ahead and publish these results so you can see them as well. We've got a pretty even split here between feeling limited, understanding different personality types, and choosing the right communication channel. Learning to manage your time is about half of what those were, but it's still up there a little bit. So this is awesome. This presentation is going to hit on all of these things. So I'm super excited about that. This is what we call the maximizing team performance flywheel. A lot of organizations and a lot of leaders tend to focus on these bottom 2, alignment, step 3, and execution, step 4. They come into a meeting, they say, people, can we just get on the same page, aka alignment, and can we just get it done, aka execution? Get on the same page, get it done. I don't care what has to happen, just get on the same page and get it done. The principle 1 talks about the limiting beliefs, limitations. And we got to understand, are those limitations from ourselves or are they from outside restrictions? We have prohibitions that are enforced restrictions that are put upon us. We can't do anything about those. Then we have inhibitions, which are limiting beliefs. What we have to be careful of is that those prohibitions don't create inhibitions in us, right? To the point of where, for a perfect example, COVID happens. We're all shutting down. We're all quarantining. That is a prohibition. We can't do much about that. But is the inhibition saying, oh, can't do anything about it. I guess I'll just sit here and wait. Are we just sitting in our hands waiting for this to pass? That's the problem. The inhibition is what's really going to limit us, not the prohibition. The prohibition can be listed into these 3 different categories. Number 1, we've got barriers, which are restrictions and regulations. You have to find ways around those. Those are what they are. Hurdles. This is where we could say, can we think about this differently? Can we get in a room and brainstorm? Can we understand, is there a different solution out there for us? Let's be strategic. Maybe we just got to think about our product offering or how we service this customer or patient or client, and how do we do this? Gaps are things that have to be filled before we can move forward. What I want you to do is next time you have a prohibition, I want you to think, okay, let me have control. Let me empower myself and my team. Is this a barrier? Is this just something we have to find a way around? Is it a hurdle? Can we think about this differently or more strategically, or is it a gap? How do we fill in this hole before we move forward? That gives you power. That enables you to not have the inhibition take over. Okay, that's number 1. Principle number 2. We're going to talk through the 5 voices. 5 voices is a tool that was created based on Myers-Briggs MBTI data. The guys that developed 5 Voices are Myers-Briggs geniuses. They said, Myers-Briggs is awesome. It's a little too complicated. DISC is awesome, but it's a little too complicated at times. You just get this report full of technical information, and sometimes you do stuff with it, and sometimes you don't. And Enneagram, and then you've got Strengths Finders, all these different things. You got PI, all these things, but we need something simplified, common language, something that we can all use and understand that's sticky. A 13-year-old could understand this. This is what 5 Voices is. And I'm going to start running through these. I'm going to start with the quietest, and I'm going to go to the loudest. At the quietest end, we've got nurturers. They're your sit back, kind of not say a lot at first. They're going to kind of downplay their voice because they want to give everybody else a chance to speak. They are peacemakers. They're relational oil in relationships. They are 43% of the population, and they're very present-oriented thinkers. 43% of the population, and 70% of that 43% are women. So we have to be aware of nurturers because they will tend to sit back because they don't want other people to feel downplayed. They may downplay their own role. They want everybody to feel involved. They have a very good ability to understand what everybody else in the room is thinking and how it's going to impact, how a certain decision is going to impact everybody in the room. As I go through these, I want you to think about which one resonates with you the most. Creatives are your second loudest, I guess. They're still quiet. They have a lot going on upstairs. They're strategic, out-of-the-box thinkers. They like to break the mold. They like to do things differently. They're future-oriented, and 9% of the population. Creatives can see things way off in the distance if they're good or if they're bad. And they also, though, have a tendency to not be able to communicate exactly what's in their brain to the person sitting across from them very effectively. They have a hard time because they've got so much going on. They're internal perfectionists. They want to be sure that what they communicate is perfect. But the ironic thing about that is they usually have a hard time really communicating that thing in a perfect way. My wife says this with me all the time. I am a creative. She says, Scott, I heard a bunch of words, but I don't know what you said. And so I go, okay, hold on a second. Let me back up. Instead of getting offended or getting all defensive about what she just said, I understand that is a tendency of mine, and I reshape, I rephrase, I kind of think about how I communicate. Guardians are middle of the road. They can be right and wrong at the same time. Right in what they say, but wrong in how they say it. Guardians are your process people. They're systems oriented. They're checklists. They're spreadsheets. They love order and all of that. They love deadlines. An open deadline, an open-ended deadline or dialogue or with no to-dos, it drives a Guardian crazy. They want to know when it's going to be finished, what's going to happen, when it's going to be here, and how we're going to accomplish that thing. You never say this to a Guardian. Never go, Guardian, just trust me. It'll work out. It'll work out. Just trust me. Whoa, they can't take it. You can't say that to a Guardian. They don't understand that language. So you future-oriented people, you need to understand how to help a Guardian, how to help a nurturer get to where we're going to get to, how we're going to do it. They're present-oriented in 30% of the population. Connectors are your social butterflies. They are some of the loudest people in the room. People generally gravitate towards connectors. They are your I got a guy person. So when you start talking to them about an issue or problem you're having, they're always like, ooh, I got a guy. You got to check out this person, or you got to check out, I got to connect you with this, or do that, or read this book, or go to this restaurant. And they want a little bit of that gratification of it really helping you out. The best thing for a connector is for them to refer somebody or something to you and for you to come back to them and say, that was awesome. Thank you so much. And that connector's like, I know, right? It was so good. They tend to take things personal and get defensive easily if you don't appreciate their ideas or the value that they're bringing to the table. They also tend to be overcommitters. They want everybody to like them, so they say yes to a lot of things and therefore end up over-promising and under-delivering. So this is 11% of the population, future-oriented. Pioneers are your loudest and also most forceful in how they speak. Pioneers are win-at-all-costs types of people. They love winning. They hate losing. They are strategic, military-like thinkers that helps them win the war. They're not worried about the battle that was lost or won. They're worried about the war. They want to make sure that we're moving forward. They're not concerned with today. They're concerned with next week, next month, next year. That is their goal. That's their vision, and that's what they try to do. Pioneers can seem insensitive. They can seem like jerks. They can seem like they're bulldozing people to other people that are very people-oriented feelers, like connectors and nurturers. Pioneers at times can come off abrasive, and it causes disharmony. If pioneers aren't aware of this, it can undermine their influence. Any of these voices, you can undermine your influence the way you communicate with different people on your team. If you have a nurturer on your team and you have a pioneer on your team, you need to understand how those individuals need to be led in a remote environment. They have to be led differently because they respond to different things. That's what's important to understand about working remote. If you want to find out your voice order, it takes about 15 minutes. That's it. You can go to giant.tv/5voices/30 days, and you can find out your voice order. No credit card, no catch. Just go in there, figure that out, and it'll add some extra insights and give you access to hundreds of hours of leadership tools and instruction, high quality learning for free. Again, no credit cards required. You go in, you get access to this information for free. It's like a free library card to leadership and cultural development forever, right? You get this access. So I encourage you to go there and check that out. All right, for the next poll, I want to see what we have in the room with us. So if you could fill this out, I would love to know which one resonated with you the most. Which one do you identify with? The nurturer, the relational harmony, people-oriented, intuition, understand what everybody in the room is going to think about. They're peacemakers, creatives, outside-the-box thinking, really care about organizational integrity. Sometimes have a hard time communicating exactly what's in their brains. Guardians, process systems, people, very reliable, dependable. You can always count on a guardian. Connectors, champions of relational networks, and communication. They can persuade a lot of different people to do a lot of different things through communication. Pioneers are strategic, military-like thinkers. They have a lot of drive. They can burn people out because people can't keep up with them. They're go, 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 go all the time. So they have a lot going on. I'm going to give you just a second and make sure we're still good here on the connection. And I'm going to share these results with you to see. So we've got a good mix here in the room with us today. So mostly nurturers and guardians. Then we have some creatives, we got some connectors and pioneers at the end. So this makes sense. And the reason why I say this makes sense is because there's a stat, 82% of people feel not heard, not valued, and not understood. And the reason that stat is so high is because that stat comes from the first three voices. If you add 43%, 9%, and 30%, these three quieter voices, that's 82% of the population that does not feel valued, heard, or understood. And that's a problem. Okay, so as we go forward, I want you to think about that as you start to lead your team, start to understand what they need. Everybody needs to be led a little bit differently. The power of the medium is the third principle I'm going to talk to you about. And the power medium is all about gaining influence, is bringing effective challenge to those around you. Sometimes we have issues. Sometimes we have to bring up something that needs to be addressed in a meeting or offline or whatever it is. The way we communicate that challenge to somebody is super important for us gaining trust and influence with those we work with. This is the scale of how effective these different mediums are at bringing challenge to those around us. Social media. Please don't bring effective challenge via social media. It is not effective at all. Don't go online on social, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and start talking about passive aggressively talking about problems inside your organization with your boss, whatever. Don't do it. Text messaging, don't do it. It is not effective for bringing challenge. You don't get tone. You don't get understanding. People don't use punctuation, or maybe they use too much punctuation. Don't do it. It doesn't work effectively. Email, somewhat effective. People think that email is super effective in communicating challenge, but it's not. Again, you're not getting the tone. Sometimes people are like, I'm going to just write out this whole email and then I'm going to look at it in the morning, and it's like 17 paragraphs, and they send it out, and then like everything blows up and they wonder why. Well, it's because they can't hear you. They can't address concerns. It's a one-sided conversation that you're just pushing an idea. You're not pulling in any information from the recipient. A phone call is about 35% effective. Phone calls are better, right? And they're okay. We can still get tone and we can still understand a little bit that's happening there. I'd probably notch this up a little bit more than 35%. I think that they can be pretty effective. Video chat is where we're at right now. It's Zoom, it's different meetings, it's FaceTime, so that we can understand facial expressions and the way things are communicated. You know what's really important about this too, which I like to bring up, is that when we have video chat or in person, we know we're dealing with a human. We know that we're speaking to someone face to face that has feelings, that has emotions, and that we need to connect with on some level. When you start bringing in the digital medium like social media, text, email, or maybe even a phone call, we don't see that face. We don't relate. We can't see the eyes. We can't read the person. And there's a lot of that goes into body communication, physical communication that we miss. In person's the most effective, obviously, but we do not have availability to do that right now. Let's poll time. Trevor, you could throw up that poll. I know you said that last time a few people did not get to experience some of the polls that went out, but I would like to see the data that comes in from this. Have you ever been the recipient of poor communication over the wrong medium? This could be, you got a text message, you got an email, you got a social media message, you got even a phone call that was not effective. It just caused all kinds of drama that didn't have to happen. And I don't even think we need to throw up the results. There's always somebody out there that has never been affected by the wrong type of communication, which is amazing. So that's fantastic. But let's go ahead and throw those results up, Trevor, and you can see that we are all a recipient of poor communication at times in our life. Communication shapes our whole world. It is a result of problems. It causes issues all over the world. And this is something we need to consider and think about moving forward. Okay, principle number 4 is called the 5 gears. This is one of the most profound, powerful tools that I teach when we deal with managing your time. And I'm going to briefly go through this so that we can understand and get through it. There's more on that giant platform that I showed you earlier that goes deeper into this. Let me address this quickly though. Gear 5, this is focus mode, task-centered, fully focused and moving quickly. My door's closed, my alerts are turned off, my phone's on silent, my Slack messages, my Microsoft Teams messages, my text messages are all turned off, and I've blocked out time to work on this task. Don't bother me, I'm in gear 5. Gear 4 is multitasking. This is where we spend most of our time. Door's cracked. I'm working on 3 different projects at the same time. I'm text messaging, I'm emailing, I'm working on a document. There's multiple things going on. We're diverting it. Maybe if we're working from home, we're looking at our kids' Lego creation they just brought in, whatever it is. Social mode is gear 3. We're present with people. We can shift up or down easy. This is water cooler talk. We call this water cooler talk. When we used to have, go into the break room, it was, hey, how are things going? How was last weekend? How was that football game? How is your vacation going? And then, we're out, right? It's just that little bit of connection time. Gear 2 is connect. That is the time when we need to be present with family and friends without work. This is the put your phone down. You're watching a movie at night, put it away. We need to be present with each other and understand what we're trying to do together. Gear 1 is recharge time, which is all about taking time for you. It's all about riding your bike, going for a walk, reading a book, taking a nap, going and talking to somebody. If you're a socialite, you love just connecting with people. Responsive mode is backing up or apologizing because we were in the wrong gear at the wrong time. Maybe I was watching a movie with my family. I should have been in gear 2, but I'm in gear 4, multitasking, right? Watching a movie, hanging out, working on a document on my phone, checking messages, and I'm not present with my family. Then I can be called out. 2 gears I want you to remember out of this whole thing is gear 5 and gear 2. Gear 5 is really great for communicating that I'm hunkered down. Please, I'm blocking out this time. I'm protecting this time. Block it out on your calendar so the whole team can see it. Put a note on your door when you're working from home that says, hey kids, I'm in gear 5. They all know what that means. Don't bother dad, don't bother mom. We're busy, we're working, and we're really focused. Just don't stay in gear 5 for 8 hours. First of all, it's not healthy. And number 2, it's a little bit of a jerky move. So don't do that. Gear 2 is the other gear I want you to remember. I want you to teach this to your kids and your family so they can hold you accountable. So they can go, hey, dad, mom, gear 2, we're here, right? And put you back in check. Poll time. One of the last polls I want to put up here is, Trevor, you could throw that up. Which gear comes easiest to you? Is that gear 5, focus mode, hunker down, you make plenty of time for it. It's really easy for you to get in gear 5. You have no problems. Gear 4, your task mode. You're doing multiple things all the time. Gear 3 is social, water cooler talk, going out talking to your neighbors about their bushes, whatever it is. You're just trying to make conversation. And gear 2 is connect time. It's really easy for you just to be there with somebody, present, connected. Whereas at gear 1, recharge time, it's really easy for you to just check out, go read a book, downshift to gear 1, and do the thing you need to do. All right, Trevor, if you want to throw up those results. As I expected, gear 4 dominates us, and it dominates everyone, right? We're there, we're in work, we're multitasking, especially working from home. There's a lot that goes into multitasking and understanding what happens. The problem is, number 1, you don't make time for gear 5. You don't block out your calendar to get those things done that have to get done. Gear 3 gets ignored because we're on Zoom and we just get on and get things done. And we're missing that connection time with other people. People like nurturers, people like connectors, they need that gear 3 time when your pioneers and guardians think it's a waste of time. Some people need it. Some people need to thrive in that environment where they can have social time with people around them. Just, shoot the breeze, understand what's going on, laugh a little bit, connect with other individuals. Pioneers, guardians, again, don't need it. But in this case, we need to interject that into our meetings to make sure that we are still connecting. That's the problem with being in gear 4 too much, is that we don't make time for 5 or 3 and that we don't shift appropriately. Okay, you can take that down, Trevor. The thing I want you to think about is this flywheel I introduced you to earlier. When we talked about dealing with step 1 and step 2, communication relationships, inhibition versus prohibition and 5 voices deals a lot with that. Now, you could argue all these tools deal with communication relationships, and granted they do. Power of the Medium works towards building relationships to alignment, making sure that we're all on the same page. I'm bringing effective challenge in the right way to make sure that we understand what's going on. 5 gears is dealing with execution, understanding my own health, my own awareness, my own gifts and talents to know that I need to be doing the right thing at the right time. So I want to introduce you to a resource called Giant. And this is going to unlock the potential of you and your team as you go forward. It's a free tool. And a lot of the things I hear from organizations is turnover a problem for other organizations? Do we just need more A players? How do we win in our market? Why doesn't everyone see the vision? Where should we focus our efforts? All these problems are things that are constantly brought up from organizations across the country and across the world. Our promise is that we create better leaders with healthier culture and improved performance. And we do that through something called Invincible, and it's an assessment first, a toolkit next, and then a process that is concrete and strong and effective. Remember that flywheel I showed you earlier, right? Communication, relationships, alignment, execution, capacity. What if I told you that we could actually measure and document and track company culture and effective communication and the health of our organization? So number one, we can understand if we're doing good, less turnover, more productivity. And number two, we can understand where the gaps and where the problems are before they become monumental problems. Let's identify them beforehand. Let's be more in tune with our organization so that we can understand what problems we need to fix before they become big problems. Let's stop not benchmarking reality with data. Other organizations don't know where to focus. They can't demonstrate progress, and they're accidentally effective. What we say is that you, as an invincible organization, can benchmark reality with data. You can identify growth opportunities, you can demonstrate progress, and you can be effective intentionally and communicate intentionally by using tools, a series of 60 plus tools like the one these four are just four simple tools within the 60 that you have available for free on this platform to make invincible teams. And what this does is these tools help provide standards that are clear, common language that's remembered, and it improves organizations. These toolkits are available for everybody for free, like I said. The last part of the process is actually walking you through something that's very structured, very easy to implement. And instead of not having a long-term plan, instead of just the one-day seminars focused on only the leadership and using just books and worksheets, what if we had a scheduled plan? What if we implemented things on a cycle? What if we focused on everyone in your organization? Because an organization is everyone. It's not just the leadership, it's everyone. And how do we create easy access for everyone? Digitally enabled, 24/7, so that we can make sure everybody's doing the right things at the right time. This is scalable. We call it scalable people development. This works with 3 people. It works with 30,000 people. This has been implemented in 116 countries all over the world. And the first step is doing a 5 Voices bootcamp. So remember the 5 Voices tool I showed you earlier? This is the first step in this whole process. Again, this is free. And I'm offering this to everyone out there as a free tool, a freebie for anybody that wants to take me up on that. If you come in and access this tool, this will be a 90-minute session with you and your team. I will tell you the dynamics of all the people on your team, how you communicate, what that means for your team, and teach you a few tools within that platform. Once you access Giant, you will be able to go on and click on this little button in the top right-hand corner that will give you access to that bootcamp information. Again, Ascend is the free forever product. It's all those tools. You get them, high-level video content, and Invincible is free for 30 days if you use this code. Use this code, and you'll get access to this entire platform, the library, and the resources for free. Giant.tv/30 days. The number 30 and days spelled out. Once you do that, you will be able to empower yourselves, empower your organization, empower your teams, communicate effectively, and unlock the potential in all of you. This is what I ask you at the end. How much is your reputation as a leader worth? And I shift that and say, how much is your brand worth? Your brand, your personal brand, your team brand, your organization brand is worth a lot. I want you to invest in yourself. I want you to invest in your team. And with that, I say thank you very much. If you want the presentation slides, you may get them afterwards, and some other free goodies. You can text message 31996, right? That's the one you put up the top. Text the word culture brand, all one word. Don't let your phone autocorrect to 2 words. All one word, culture brand, to 31996, and you'll get an immediate email that will have this information in there for you. And I am really grateful for the opportunity to be here. I think we're going to have some questions. Okay. let me start here with, so the easy one, Patricia, I think you got your answer. Can we have the website? The website again is giant.tv/30 days, 30 days. Again, if you text CULTUREBRAND to 31996, it'll also give you a link to that. Still not seeing polls. Okay, Deborah, we got that taken care of. Okay, there's another question here. What is the best way to get everyone on the same page while working remotely? The best way to get everyone on the same page. So this deals with alignment. And there are a series of tools that are dealing with alignment. Making sure that expectations are met, making sure we're clearly communicating those expectations. There's a tool in there all about liberating others. And the best way to get everyone on the same page is to ask a few different questions. And a couple of those are really easy, right? Does the person know what I expect of them? And write out your answer. Does the person feel, what support and challenge do they need from me? Support, what support do they need to get their job done, to feel that I am for them? And what challenge do they need from me to make sure I am pushing them, making sure that I'm getting the best out of them? What support and challenge do they need from me? There's a series of questions I run through with my clients that ask those questions, and then I want you to take those questions to that person and go through them. It brings up a lot of great dialogue and helps people really connect and make sure that everybody is on the same page. Okay, so what's the difference between 5 Voices, DISC, MBTI, Enneagram, any of the other personality assessments? The difference is that 5 Voices is a program. It isn't just a printout of results that you stick in your desk and never look at ever again. It is something that you have access to for a long time. It's sticky. It's very easy to remember. It's based on the data from Myers-Briggs, so it is based on that science. And it's easy to implement. So that's one of the things. I've taken DISC, I've taken the Enneagram, I've taken a lot of those other ones, and they can be kind of hard for me to understand at times. A lot of people are super gifted in those. I think there's a time and a place for each one of them. 5 Voices is a great way to bring them all together. Somebody said they texted CULTUREBRAND and it states that it's not a valid password. If that happens, please email me and I will make sure you still get the information. My email, can I type anything in this, Trevor? And if somebody else wants, oh, Trevor, can I?
I can post it in the announcements. It's on the screen right now as well, Scott@scottwaldron.com. I'll post that in the announcements.
Okay, thanks, Trevor. I appreciate that. So yeah, email me. If that keyword didn't work, then please email me and I will send it out to you manually. That is not a problem. Another question, we got a couple more minutes here. What are the biggest problems you see arise from remote working? Okay, I'm gonna answer this from 2 sides. Number one, the personal side. The problems that I see arising from remote working are, number one, if you are a connector, a nurturer, someone who really craves relationships and getting out, remote working is very difficult. It's difficult for you. If you're a person that is very task-oriented, very driven, wants to have everybody on the same page, it's also very difficult because sometimes not everybody is available. It's the availability of everybody in one place at one time. Having control over that is really advantageous for some people. I will say remote work, being forced to go remote has helped people realize that, oh, maybe we don't all need to be in the same room all the time, right? Maybe we can make this work. Now, the biggest problem externally, working remote, is the effective communication, is communicating with the right people in the right way. FaceTime, making sure that when I have a problem with somebody on my team, I'm not just quickly sending a text message, a disgruntled text message or a disgruntled email, that I'm actually taking the time, and it does take effort, to set up a Zoom, set up some kind of meeting where I can have some kind of FaceTime with that individual. The great thing about working remote is that that can be resolved instantly. We don't have to wait till, a week of uncomfortable silence before we have our in-person meeting next week. We can do it now. So I think that those are some of the things. Is there any way to get documents for this webinar? I did not have a presentation follow along on my screen. So yes, if you text message the word culture brand, all one word, to 31996, the presentation will be emailed to you through that document. Again, if that didn't work, you can send me an email at Skot, S-K-O-T, at SKOTWALDRON.com, and I will personally send that email to you with all of the information. I am done. Doesn't look like we have any more questions. Again, I appreciate everybody out there. And if there's anything else I can do for you, please let me know. Trevor, turn it back over to you.
Awesome. On behalf of AAHAM, I'd like to thank everyone for joining today's webinar, and a big thank you to Scott for the excellent presentation. I'd now like to direct your attention to the survey you'll see on your screen momentarily. If you do not see the survey on your screen, you can find the direct link in the announcement section. We truly appreciate your feedback. This concludes today's session. To end, you may simply hang up or close the tab on your browser. Have a great day.